Hi, friends. Welcome to the Nearly Enlightened podcast. Today, I am joined with my good friend, Shelley Olm, Lil Yogi Olm. Welcome, Shelley.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you and get catch up.
I'm so excited to have you. So, Shelley and I met in 2019, I think.
Yes, 2019.
We met in 2019 at a booty yoga training. It was a 200-hour yoga teacher training. It was my second training, it was your first. And
Yes.
when I met Shelly, she was not a total yoga naysayer, but she definitely had her um, challenges with yoga and Shavasana. She wasn't a fan. And that was something that really stuck with me because now she is a master vibrational sound healer. But I'll let her give you a little introduction of herself. So, Shelly, tell us about yourself.
I'm Shelley. I'm a 59-year-old little Portuguese lady. I've always been into fitness and spirituality, but never yoga per se. I didn't like the slowness of it, like Giana was saying about Shavasana, like that was torture to me to be in Shavasana, holding poses forever. I thought that's how yoga was. I didn't realize there were other limbs to yoga. I thought yoga was the poses. This is the only way to do it. So if your shoulder's hurting you and you want to modify, you really can't. So that was the background that I had with yoga per se. And we'll get into this more, but then I discovered Bhuti Yoga, which really changed everything for me. And from Bhuti Yoga, I wanted to learn more about yoga, and that's what led me to my 200 hour. Now I have my 500 hour. Um, yes, and through all of
That's
that,
such a big feat. Yeah.
yes, and it came, through that I discovered sound healing and a way to release, which is kind of totally opposite from Bhuti Yoga. So Bhuti Yoga is a release in one way, but sound healing and restorative yoga is another way to release, but just probably the total opposite direction. And then Shavasana, I just, became a lover of Shavasana and nice long Shavasanas, if you can even believe that.
So, how did that perspective shift for you?
Through my training, like you said, when we went through our 200 hour, I was still very intimidated. I'm not really bendy. Like I said, I'm a short, tiny Portuguese lady, so my arms aren't very long and I'm not really flowy. So, I was very intimidated by the younger people in the class, even some of the older people, but they were still more experienced. So I was very intimidated and just I was just kind of like shy to even try it. I was blocked actually to do things in front of people. And then, there were a few people in the class that really encouraged me that were, realizing that we're all like kind of in the same boat. So I got my 200 hour. I continued on, with my booty yoga. And then at a Christmas party for this place where I taught yoga, we did like a little exchange and I was given this little sound bowl, a little metal bowl. Um, and the rest is history after that. I just loved it so much and I would just play it and play it. And I decided to get some more training. And then through my training, then I started with the vibrational sound healing. But as the sound, like as I explored sound more and more, it was, it helped me to slow down and it helped me to kind of like come inside myself a little bit more instead of um, thinking about my grocery list all the time and what I was making for dinner or who cut me off on the way there. I was finally able to just try to really connect with the sound and finally let go.
That's amazing. I have a similar sound healing found me in, I would say, probably about the same time I was going through my first teacher training, which was 2015. And not a lot of people did it then. And it was kind of like this like underground healing world.
Yes.
So we would go like twice a month. He would do something for the new moon and the full moon. And I went every single month faithfully. And it was so life changing. And it sounds so silly and so simple, but just allowing myself that hour to really just like be, to drop the thoughts. And it was a much easier way to drop those thoughts than in a traditional meditation.
Yes. Yes. And the sound, there's just something about the way that if you allow it and keep and open yourself up and just allow it to come and just enter your body, um, it's just amazing. It's just like water. So it just finds a way in. Like they always say, never have even a pinhole in your roof, because if you do, water, when it rains, water's going to find that tiny pinhole and it's going to leak through your roof. And the same thing is with sound. It comes in waves and it just finds any way in to come in. And again, it's like water. So water erodes things that are in the way, burrs that are sticking out, things that don't belong, and it smooths everything out. And that's the same way that sound does. So if you, the way I just explain it is that I just try to connect with my mind's eye. So I close my eyes. Um, Even though your eyes are closed, I still try to see, because I try to connect with anything that's in there, a message, a sound, anything, and then I just allow the sound to come in. And not all of the sounds are pleasing. Some may be a little bit activating, but I kind of just I go with that. Um, and then just like I said, I just trying to connect. And Shavasana is one of the positions. It's a restorative yoga position where your body is totally supported so that your mind can relax. So it allows you, you've just gone through this yoga practice or whatever workshop or practice that you're in. And when you get to Shavasana, you finally allow your body just to be supported by the earth. So you exchange with the earth's energy, and then your mind just can relax. And then when your mind relaxes from the thoughts of the day, from, like I said, what you're making for dinner, then real magic happens. So I've gotten ideas, creative ideas at that time. But it just depends on the day. Sometimes you are just there to relax and just let everything go and just be for that 10 minutes, 5 minutes, or however long that it is. And that really, when you leave the class, you have such increased mental clarity, even from that little amount of time of just letting things go and letting things be.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think there's some scientific studies that say like a few minutes of meditation is equal to like 4 hours of sleep. And when you really reach that restful state, when you arise again, you feel that refresh.
Yes, yes. And I always tell people too, like sometimes after they're like, oh, I just feel like I'm so sleepy. I'm like, but when you get home, you'll be cleaning your kitchen at 11 o'clock at night. And you're like, what's happening? Like, where's this energy coming from? And it's just because your body was just so relaxed. It is a total refresh and a restart, redo, reigniting you.
It's so true. So there's a place here in Scottsdale called Scottsdale Sound Sanctuary, and I'm actually hosting a retreat there in February. But I go to sound meditation there every Monday night, and it's at 7 p.m. and it goes till about 8:30. So I'm coming home at like 9, and my boyfriend is always like, "You are so annoying when you get home," because I'm like on another level.
Yes, yes, it does. It just brings you up like on a cloud kind of. It just like, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah, he's always like, "Can you rein it in? Like you're all over the place." But you just feel it's just there's no describing it. You kind of have to like experience it.
Yeah, you really do have to, like the whole a sound bath, all of that restorative yoga, like the slowing down. It's just amazing. It is like medicine in that hour and a half. And like I said, if you open yourself and you just let the tones come in, the tones come into your body. They first cover you like a blanket and then they just go deep inside. I mean, you don't know sometimes if you're awake or sleeping. So there
Yeah.
were a few times when I was having it done, I was trying to force my eyes to be open because I'm like, am I sleeping? Am I awake? And I was trying to pry my eyes open, but they just would not. You're in that, what they say, that theta state. So you're not sleeping, but you're not awake. And that's when like all that magic happens, all the healing, all the um, relaxing, de-stressing from the day. You get mental clarity, you get relief. Increased consciousness, all of that anxiety, it just kind of like goes away, like you said, and it is kind of like hours of sleep.
Yeah, it is. So if somebody has never been to sound bath before or had a sound healing, what would be like the piece of advice you would give them?
The piece of advice I would give them is to allow themselves to be open. And I would also say, like I mentioned before, some of the sounds are not soothing to everybody. So, depending on, it could be generational, like gongs were used in Auschwitz. They were used, if you ever watched Downton Abbey, they were used to call the servants, no, it's dinner. We got to get up and go work. Um, so, it could be generational that way. So, some of the sounds might not feel great, but just know that you're in a safe space, and just go with it. They don't last very long, and it might be just something that you need to release, something you don't even know that's, inside of you that you just need to let go of. So, like I said, all the sounds, if you ever heard a song that you just like, every time you hear it, you're just like, oh yeah, I just feel great, as opposed to hearing some other songs that you like, or noises that just rub you the wrong way. Um, it's different for each person. Some people, like I said, don't like gongs. I have like this thing that I play. It's like it sounds like wind. Some people say it sounds like a lion. I've had one client like that. It sounds like the abyss. Like, don't ever play that again in my session. Okay. But if you are in a sound healing, I just ask them to just be open and just allow the sounds to come in and relax you, and just feel the energy exchange from the sound to you, from you to the earth's energy back up to you. And the benefits, I've never had anyone after say like that they
Yeah,
didn't
like
like
they
it.
don't feel good.
No,
Yeah.
I've had people say, and then a couple of days later say, you know what, I feel great. Like, that was great.
Well, I feel like a lot of it too is like when we go to something new and we try something new, our brain tries to explain it away. And like our perceptions kind of get in the way of just fully being present and
Yes.
enjoying the moment. Um, because
Yeah, and
it's funny,
thinking,
like that's never I've been doing sound bath for a while now, and that's never something I experienced. And I've gone and experienced it with multiple different practitioners, and that's never been the experience. I have had a couple experiences where I find it challenging to get in that restful, relaxing state because of something that's happened. Actually, this is a really funny story. So, this was right before we went to Colorado. I was going to my last sound bath and I had longer pants on. And in the summer here in Arizona, we have a terrible carpenter and fire ant problem. And I was walking around the property barefoot and I didn't know that I must have picked up a little ant. I literally had an ant in my pants. And we went to go sit down for the sound meditation and it started biting me. And I was like, what the fuck? I thought it was a scorpion because it hurt so bad. So I like run into the bathroom. I rip my pants off and I'm shaking it out and I'm expecting a scorpion to fall out. And this giant ant falls out. And I was like, oh my God. And it just, that just like threw the whole experience. And I had trouble kind of like resting
yeah.
and dropping
Oh,
into that like
yeah.
trancy meditation space. But that was like the only time that I really, it was a challenging sound healing experience.
That does remind me of something. I do also tell people that, don't, if you're uncomfortable in whatever position that you're in, scooch around till you find another comfortable position. Don't be like, oh, how much longer, or when is she gonna scooch us to a different position? Even if you have to get up and go to the bathroom, nobody is going to hear you. They are so out. I have people, even when I'm doing this, like, I didn't even notice they left, and I'm the facilitator, and then they'll come, I see them come back in. So no one, they're so deep into their own meditation, that own theta state, where their brain is entrained, like they have entrainment. They're following whatever beat that they don't, other people don't even hear it. They're not going to hear you. You just move around so that you're comfortable.
Yeah, I think that's important in any kind of healing space, like yoga too, like just to do what's best for you. Like anything that the practitioner or the teacher offers you, it's a suggestion and you are really there for you and no one
Right.
else. And I
Right.
think that's really hard for people because we are such a trained society in that way. It's like you worry about what everyone else is doing and what everyone else is thinking, everyone else's level of ability. And really, it's not about any of that. It's really about
No,
you and what you need, what your body, mind, and spirit is being called to be there for. And that's how I pretty much start all of my classes. Like everything that I offer is a suggestion. I'll offer lots of different suggestions. You take what works for you and you leave what doesn't. And
right.
I think
Yeah.
the most advanced yogi isn't the yogi that practices for a long, long time. It's the person who really is present with what they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I was very intimidated. I was very intimidated in that 200-hour training just because um, of the experience of the other yogis that were there. And I was blessed that I had Danica, I had Kendra that just were more experienced, but actually took the time out to encourage me and help me to realize that I did have value and I do have something to offer and that I can do it, that it is reachable for even someone like me, my age, my size, whatever, my experience. And now like that's kind of like one of my main goals too, is I try to just tell everyone, don't listen to your own body, do what your own body tells you to do. Um, if your shoulder's hurting that day, then you just don't do that. I always say I can do everything in the class because I only put the things in that I can do. All the other stuff I work on at home. So if my shoulder's hurting today, we're not doing a side plank. We're not. So again, I always try to tell them I'm right there with you. I'm no better than you. Um, and just encouraging people to have a love affair with yoga and with sound healing the way that I do.
So you racked up a lot of certifications and trainings and knowledge through the last couple of years. And how did that one training really shift your perspective?
The 200-hour
Yeah,
or
the 200-hour. Because I
so
feel like it all kind of happened after that.
it did. So it because before that it was just booty, and again, I still love booty and I still practice booty. But it was from that 200-hour and doing it, and I don't want to get into a lot of that, but I was going through a lot too at that time. My sister-in-law was very ill, going through the 200 hours, so that even added um more stress and weight on me. But after that training, I just I was still like afraid to kind of teach, and I just started teaching, and I just started, I
Sometimes you
found,
just got to lean into that.
yeah, I just found someone who gave me a chance and believed in me, and I just started teaching, and my own style. Again, I wasn't tied to this A B C D. It was just like it evolved into like my own style of teaching. It's still a vinyasa. It's still um, that, but it just evolved from that. And as I started to do it more and more, and then I got into the sound healing, and I wanted to, I got the bowl, but I wanted to know what is happening to people, to me, like, why do I feel so great from just this little teeny bowl? So then I went and got a certification to be a certified sound healer, and I started playing around with different instruments, and then that led to the bowls on the body. That's just totally amazing too. That
Yeah, maybe
is
you could talk about that a little bit. Like, what's the difference between a one on one sound healing and a sound bath?
so a sound bath is basically, you can have a one-on-one sound bath, but a sound bath is basically playing all different kinds of instruments, just a little bit for each one. And it does kind of lead you up and down. So it will lead you where you're awake a little bit and then kind of like soothe you back down. But a sound healing, as far as like the bowls on your body, those are where bowls are placed directly onto your body. So the vibration, they vibrate a regular singing bowl. There's two kinds of bowls. So there's a bowl that you can play, that I have a bowl that sings like nobody's business, but it doesn't vibrate hardly at all. The bowls that really vibrate, they don't sing as well because as you're rimming the bowl and going around, they're vibrating so much, you kind of get that little rattle sound because they're vibrating so much. So those don't sing quite as much. But when you put them on your body, the vibration is kind of like throwing a pedal a pebble into the water. The ripples that come out, it just vibrates and it just goes deep down into your body, and people get profound like healings and relaxation, putting it on like on your solar plexus, on the different chakras. Um, and you can mix that in, which I also mix in with a little bit of energy work. So I do some energy work at the same time as that. And it just
So for
becomes an
people who might not know, what is energy work and what type of energy work do you practice?
so energy work, it's been around for centuries. I practice Reiki and or it's called laying on of hands. Reiki's the same thing. It's based on a laying on of hands, using the energy, universal energy, um, that's channeled through you, kind of like a hose channels water through it, um, to heal the person. And the Reiki that I'm certified in, that I'm a Reiki master in, is the Holy Fire 3. So in Holy Fire Reiki, we call in universal energy, but we also call in archangels and members of the Trinity. So we call in God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And it's basically, we just ask that whatever the person needs for healing for that moment, by laying on of hands, that they are going to be healed, or they're going to receive whatever they need, um, unblocking any of their energy centers or whatever they need for that day. So that I incorporate in with the bowl. So I may hit the bowl, and while it's vibrating, maybe my hand will be somewhere else on the person where I'm led to touch them. Sometimes I go all down the body. Other times I'm only led to like one certain spot, but I just try to listen to that still small voice, that same connection. So from going back to Shavasana, trying to connect there to that middle space and connect to um, universal energy. I just call it like I'm connecting to God and the Holy Spirit. So I try to do that same connection that I'm doing during Shavasana. I'm trying to get that same connection when I'm doing energy work, so that I can hear and listen to what the person needs and where to go. Again, I'm doing nothing. I'm just the conduit. So it's not me that's healing anybody. I'm just the conduit from the energy that's coming through.
I think that's really important to note. And it's funny because Danica and I talk about it a little bit too. It's like people who you go to for spiritual guidance, like I hate the term healer because we're not really doing anything, but we're kind of like the ember that sparks the fire within the person. And it's really up to the person to do the work. And that's really hard for some people to hear. And um, yeah, just like we're not like being put up on a
But
pedestal or
right. It's nothing that I'm doing. I mean, my husband, he, every once in a while he'll say like, "Oh, this hurts, that hurts," and I'm like, "Oh, let me do Reiki, let me do whatever." And usually he'll get up and I'll say, "How was that?" And he'll say, "Oh, weird," or whatever. So one day he said, "Oh, my back hurts." I said, "Let me just put a bowl on it. Let me just put a bowl on it." So he laid there, and I started hitting the bowl, and right away I could feel that he relaxed. And usually he's trying to scooch around, he's trying to get up, and he was not. And so, when I finished, I'm like, "Okay, how was it?" And he's like, same thing. Oh, weird. So later on that night, we're having dinner, and he said, "All right." He's like, "Don't get a swelled head or anything." He's like, "But all right, it's been 8 hours. I wasn't going to tell you." He's like, "But my back doesn't hurt anymore." He's like, "You healed my back." And I was like, "First of all, I didn't heal your back. Like the bowl and the vibrations and the energy, that's what healed your back." But he was like the biggest skeptic. And he's like, "My back does not hurt. I have to, like, I gotta
it
tell you,
always
don't."
feels really good when you get the skeptic to believe.
Yeah, yeah. He was just like, and then I hear him telling my son about it. So I'm like, okay.
Oh my
So
God, that's so
like you
funny.
said, when the skeptic believes, then when it really happens, then they're like the biggest advertisement, because then they go and tell other people, because like you said, they were a doubter. And he's just like, "I'll try anything because my back's killing me." And I'm not saying, and he's like, "Why do you think that is?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I can tell you that, maybe the vibration, maybe there was something tweaked. Maybe it just like smoothed it out. Maybe you just had a little crook. Maybe God was like, I'm going to heal him now. Ours is not to question why or whatever. It happened, and you know,
I think that's like the important thing about faith. It's like sometimes you don't know, you just have to trust.
right, right, right. Does it really matter? No, it doesn't. The fact is that your back is healed. You know, it's not coming from dark forces, because have you ever heard in the history of anything dark forces healing anybody? No. Go try to look it up. You can't find it
Oh,
anywhere. You
oh,
can't.
you just gave me the goosebumps with that one.
Right. You can't find it anywhere. Dark forces don't heal people. So
Oh, I like that a lot. It's true.
it's true. I've tried to find it. I've tried to look it up, because usually when people say things, I'm like, or like there's a certain person, people like, hey, I try to look up like one good thing about the person to see. And if I can't find that anybody saying one good thing about the person, like one business, and it's like, okay, well, they just obviously don't like that person, you know? So the same thing with like dark forces healing. I'm like, all right, let's try to find anywhere, and you just can't. So that's how you know.
That is powerful stuff. We're gonna pin that for our little clip that'll go on social media.
Nice.
So I want to know, what is one takeaway that, if somebody's listening to this episode, like what is the one takeaway that you would want them to have?
What I would really want them to have, the one takeaway, is that like sound healing is for everyone. So it's not just for elite people, certain people who get the gift, get the whatever. That's not true. It's for everyone. Anyone can do it if they want to. Anyone can receive it. So that's one thing. And don't limit yourself. Don't don't look at yourself and feel like you can't do it. What I found in this journey is just to try. First of all, find people like Giana, find people like Danica, like Kendra. Find people
Like
that
you.
are in your corner that will help you and encourage you, and then just go for it. If you feel called to do something, that was something I felt called to do it. So I was way out of my comfort zone, but I felt like my friend always says, she always calls it like playing ping pong with God. Like God's like, okay, do this, and she's like, but I'm busy, and she hits the ball back. How about now? He hits the ball back. Oh, but the money, how about now? And then you finally got to listen and heed the call. So if you feel called to do something, it's not going to be easy. But the one takeaway is just try. Don't limit yourself. Try. And you know what? I've done some dumb things, and where I was telling about spiritual bloopers and whatever. I've done some. And even if you're in the middle of a sound bath, you drop the stick, and then you know next time, okay, I hold the stick now under my arm, because if you're not doing, then you're learning. So just don't listen to society of what a perfect anything has to be, because there is no perfect anything. If you feel called to do something, really, really try to follow your call and try.
Yeah, because when I feel like when you make that decision, like this is what I'm being called to do, I'm going to lean into this, I'm going to follow this path. When it's the right path, when it really truly is that call from God, then things just fall into place. It was like I talked about on the podcast previous to this one, when I made, let me back up a little. This healing journey can feel lonely. It has for me. I've talked to many other people where it gets lonely because you truly feel like you're going through this alone, and you're not. That, I feel like it's part of the process to just accept that. But also when you make the decision to do the healing, to do the tough inner work, to have the tough conversations, what ends up happening is that people get placed on your path that are meant to help aid in that healing. And that's exactly what happened to me. I know so many people who that happened for as well. Like I decided, I was in a really bad space. I had just gotten out of a very abusive relationship, and I was kind of in and out of that relationship, and I knew that something had to change, and I knew that that change had to come from within me. So when I made that distinct decision, I started to go to yoga. The specific yoga teachers fell into my path. I started doing yoga teacher training. I had a mentor. Then I started to find other things, and completely by accident, by accident, the universe placing them
Yes.
on my path. And so that's when I found my friend Sam, who did the sound healing. And then I found my friend Nola, who owns One World Cacao, which was a huge part of my healing journey. Cacao is like such heart medicine, and that's really what I
Yes.
needed at the time. And again, it was a space to come together with like-minded people who were going through the same exact thing, who maybe didn't want to heal the exact same thing, but they were doing the healing work for themselves. And then I read a book, Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. Me and my best friend read it. And then as soon as we finished reading that book, like the same week, we saw, like, Facebook used to do those, they weren't sponsored, but they were like events that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
And there was a woman in Newport, and she was doing a collective group past life regression, and she trained with Dr. Brian Wise, and we were like, oh my god, we have to go to that. So when you make the decision that you're going to heal and that you are going to do the hard work and you're going to put steps and things in place to do that work, God really assists you in that.
Yes.
He puts the people there that are meant to be there. And even when I came to that second 200 hour for me in 2019, I had stopped teaching for a while. I had not taught in almost 2 years because I was working for a studio that sucked the life out of me. And I was going back to that space of healing. And for me, that booty training really helped to heal me too, because for me, yoga was so dogmatic and so rigid and so like left, right, up, down. And then
Yes.
to come into booty, it's like the total opposite of that. You're like moving all around the mat, you're shaking and like all of these
Releasing.
vibrational
Yes.
movements. And it was like, okay, yoga doesn't have to be like so masculine, so like up, down, left, right. And that dynamic movement is really what pulled me in.
Yes.
I really
Same.
love that.
Same. Booty. I do owe a lot of this to Booty Yoga. I really, really do. And I didn't want to go to the class. My niece was like, Auntie, I promise you'll like it. It's not like you think. It's not what you think. And I went and I was like, holy smokes, how do I do this more? And that was, at the time, I could only get to the class by driving an hour and a half to get there, and
Wow.
I would still do it. I'm like, I don't care. And that's when I finally was like, okay, I can't find it in Connecticut. I'm just going to have to bring it to Connecticut and just get certified myself to bring it here. It's just an amazing practice. And like I said, that's what led me to coming to the 200 hour. And Bhutu, that was a huge thing for me too, getting, because I loved it so much and getting certified. I was scared out of my mind going there, again, so intimidated of seeing all the like bendy young people there. But it was like just little step by step. I just loved it and wanted to try it. And and then I just wanted to learn more about yoga and make sure that I was teaching it the correct way for Booty. And so then that evolved into that. And and then I found sound and I just fell in love with that. And it just I just invite everyone, if find something that you love, and just when you love something and you're passionate about it, you want to share it, and you just find out, train, do as much as you can to learn, and so that you can share it with other people and inspire them to do great healing things themselves, learn more about themselves, learn other things, branch out. There's so many things, and even
Yeah.
the
And I
sound
think
thing, if you're go ahead, if you
this is so important for people to find that passion and start showing up with that passion, because the world, like Jamie, which hopefully she'll be on the podcast. This is like the third time that she's been mentioned. Um, but she was the person who really helped me realize, like, it doesn't matter that there's 1,000 other people doing something similar. Like, you specifically need to show up and start shining your light, because look around at the world right now. Like, the world needs us all to find that light and start to shine it bright.
Yeah, speaking of Jamie, she too, again, she with you, through you is how I went to Launch Your Light. Like I saw you, it was just saying, this is what I'm doing. I saw that. I went to Launch Your Light. Then Jamie, she's just incredible. And just from that too, I feel like I kind of exploded even more after meeting her, because she was right away, I see value in you. Yep, you can do it. There was never any like, oh, you better get some more training. Or, oh, it was just like, you have value. Yep, what you want to offer people need. Yep, I'm right behind you. I'll help you. Um, and that's why I try to help. I call them not newbies, but people who just graduated from a training, and now they're like, now what do I do? Now how do I try to help them the way that I got help myself.
I think
And
that's so amazing.
yeah, and even with one more thing about sound healing too, some of the instruments, if you want to become a sound healer, they can be expensive, but you know what? You can find stuff in your house that plays beautiful music. My friend has the top of a pot and he plays it, and it's like the most beautiful singing bowl you have ever heard. And it's just the top of a pot. I'm always in TJ Maxx, cling, cling, cling. My husband's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to find a bell. I'm trying to find whatever. So it's not always, you don't have to spend money on this crazy equipment. You can make things your own, discover and play and make it fun.
I think that's so important for people to hear because sometimes there is a financial block around this kind of stuff. But like you said, you can find sound healing pretty much anywhere. I mean, even going to your Spotify and going to find like already bowls that are recorded and play and just to use that in your own meditation, that's hugely powerful to just make that space to just sit
Yeah.
and do it.
And connect. So connect with others. Right now, I've connected with two other sound healers, and the three of us get together and we do sound baths together. And it is amazing because sometimes when I'm doing sound healing, I want like 10 hands because I want to play this while I'm hitting this, and I don't want like a dead sound while I'm going to something else. And I've got like Fred over here, he's playing the gong, and like her name's Shelley too. So Shelley's got
Oh
the
my God, that's
rattle,
so
and
funny.
sometimes we tone together. It's amazing, amazing. So find like-minded people, find people, and I've learned so much from them. I've shown them things, they've shown me things. Um, and again, playing instruments, same thing with yoga. It's not like this is the way you must play this. Just think of Jimi Hendrix. So like, here's how you play the guitar. He's like, no, I'm flipping it over and I'm playing it upside down and I'm playing it left-handed. This is how I'm playing it. And look how beautiful a sound he made. So make it your own, play around. Um, if it's your calling, it's going to happen.
So, one last thing before we go. What is the best piece of advice that you've received and who was it from?
The best piece of advice that I have received, I'm a runner. This goes back to running. I am a runner. I never called myself a runner, even though I ran. I'm like, oh, that's other people are runners. I'm just as hacker. Same thing. Um, and I would always, when it came to doing like the obstacle races, I wanted to do a half marathon. And my friend Leslie, we were in this group called Run 169 Towns, where you run a race in all the towns in Connecticut. There's
And you
169
completed that,
towns.
didn't you?
I completed it. Yes, I completed it 2 years ago. But my friend Leslie, I was just like, oh, I just want to do it, but I can't. Like, and she's like, Shelley, you are stronger than you think. And that, like, I always hear her in the back of my mind when I was gonna sign up for the booty training. I'm like, I can't. I heard her. You're stronger than you think. The 200 hour, I heard her. You're stronger than you think. Just go and try, and you will be amazed. And like even after I did it, I'm like, I messaged her and said, hey, I did it. She's like, yeah, I know. I know. See, so don't get you down. Don't let people, even from your past, sometimes things happen in second grade. Somebody says one little thing to you, and that sets your tone for your whole life of believing in yourself or how you perceive yourself. Don't let anything from when you were a child or anything like that hold you back, that you're stronger than you think. Just give it a little try and see what
Even
happens.
not letting the fear hold you back. Like you said, you were so scared to go to that training. And I mean, 200 hours, it's a lot of work. It's several months worth of work and then beyond after that. So like I think it's so inspiring that your story just highlights like you can show up scared and then look at like all of this amazing transformation that happens.
Yeah, yeah. I still sometimes can't believe that it's true. Like I still can't believe that, like you said, the transformation. I really can't, because it is amazing. It's a miracle. I went from like I said, a scared little Portuguese, almost 60-year-old to, and don't get me wrong, I still get nervous and I'm still like trying new things but I just know, and this goes to launch your light. I just know that I think Jamie said something like, what will happen if you share this with the world, and what will happen if you don't? Like that, what will happen if you don't? That really stuck with me. And I hear that too, that piece of advice in the back of my head too. So it just amazes me that going from that, finding launch your light, and then it was like speed travel kind of.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, you had
been
a
like,
whole career transformation.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I'm retiring. I'm done. Like, yeah, went with that. And now I'm just like busier than I've ever been.
Oh my God, that's so amazing.
Wrote my
So,
little children's book. I wrote a little children's book
oh my
about a little,
God, tell us
yeah,
more about that.
it's about a little, it's called Shelley Snail Sees Sound, and it's the illustrator just finished with it. And it's just about this snail, and she, when people talk, the words come out, but she sees colors, and she sees them all the words are in colors. So her head's always in the clouds, because she's always looking up at all these beautiful colors. And, people think she's a weirdo and label her a weirdo. And it's just her like adventure that she went through, and how she comes out of it in the end, that her seeing sound helps to save somebody actually in the end. And
Oh,
yes, yeah, it's just an awesome little rhyming story. So that'll be coming like I said, the illustrator just finished it. So it should be out within the next month.
that is so exciting. I am so happy for you. So, if people want to work with you, want to find you, what are your offerings, and share your platforms? This is your time to plug yourself.
So if they want to work with me, I have a website. It's Olm, OLM, and people are always like, Olm, like, where'd you get that? It's OLM. I married it. That is actually my husband's last name, now
How
mine. So
perfect.
yes,
It was
I
meant to
know.
be the whole time.
It was meant to be, because I was like, what kind of name's Olm? So it's omwellness.com. You can work with me there. You can I do group sound baths. You can book a private sound healing through there. I'm working on a certification right now where I'm combining energy work with sound healing together in one certification. So when you leave there, you'll be a certified sound healer and also energy worker. Um,
Whoa, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I'm almost done with that. Also with Tune Up Zen Out retreat. So I'm with them, and we do 1-day retreats. We do corporate events. It's me and 2 other sound healers together. So that's, if your business or company want to hire us, they can hire us there. And then you can find me in local classes in Connecticut, but you can find that all on my website, Om Wellness. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm Lil Yogi Olm, so it's Lil Yogi Olm, and it's Lil just because I'm Portuguese. We're little, so we always called each other Lils. My mom's little Dottie, my son's little
Oh,
Mikey. We call each other Lil, and so when I started going to yoga, my kids are like, "Hey, you should call yourself Lil Yogi."
oh my
So
God, that is so
yeah.
cute.
Lil Yogi Om on TikTok and on Instagram as well.
Yeah, and definitely check her out on the social media platforms because she puts up these amazing Monday motivations. And I'm just so proud of you. I'm so glad you came on to chat with us. And I just can't wait to see what else you're up to.
Yes, yes, it was great coming on. Thank you for having me on. It's nice to see you
It
again
was
in
so great to
person.
chat with you. Thank you for being here. If you liked this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share. Reach out to Shelley with any questions, comments, concerns, and we're really any of the people that come on this podcast. If you're in that space where you are feeling lonely or you feel like there's no support, there is support. Reach out to
Yes.
one of us. We'll be happy to help you find the path. And we'll see you next Monday.